Thanks for watching Endgame Economics. If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe. It's completely free for you, and it helps us continue making more videos like this.
Welcome to The Explainer. Let's jump right in because we're looking at a genuinely mind-blowing shift in human history. We're talking about a fundamental change in how we literally exist. We're going to contrast the physical reality we've always known with Mark Zuckerberg's radical vision for our future. I mean, think about it. For thousands of years, the very definition of life was 100% physical. Right? For all of human history, to be alive basically meant touching the world around you. It meant standing in a room, looking someone directly in the eyes. You lived your entire life inside tangible physical spaces, cities, homes, offices, streets. It was an undeniably physical existence. But, as we're going to explore today, that core, foundational human experience, it's on the brink of changing forever. And the stakes here are astronomical. Mark Zuckerberg is betting hundreds of billions of dollars on one incredibly radical idea, that the future of human life is going to be virtual. To put that massive investment into perspective, that budget literally rivals the cost of the entire Apollo space program. That's right, the one that put humans on the moon. And his goal isn't just to create some partially virtual life, like a fun, temporary distraction. No, he envisions a completely virtual existence. We're talking about a digital reality that encompasses the whole shebang: your work, your deepest friendships, your entertainment, and ultimately, your actual identity.
So, let's move into Section 1, Coding Human Relationships. Systems over people.
To really wrap our heads around why this is happening, we need to do a little bit of a psychological investigation. When you look closely at the architect of this vision, you see a deep personal comfort with structured systems over the messy, chaotic real world. Now, what's really interesting to compare here is how completely different we are from machines. On one hand, you have human beings, right? We're inherently unpredictable, we often completely defy logic, and let's face it, our social interactions can be a total mess. But on the other hand, you've got computers and code. They are completely predictable, strictly structured, and they can be perfectly mathematically optimized. While most teenagers were, navigating the unpredictable world of parties and popularity, Zuckerberg was intensely focused on building digital environments, spaces where human interaction could be neatly structured and precisely measured.
And, well, that desire for structure eventually became Facebook. It's wild to look back and see how this quiet transformation turned messy human relationships into neatly organized data. At first, it seemed totally harmless, just a simple college network. Then, it evolved into this massive global social platform. But eventually, it became something so much larger and, quite frankly, more profound. It became a digital infrastructure layered directly on top of human civilization itself. Which brings us to Section 2, the digitalization of human life, rewiring human behavior.
You see, this platform didn't just change how we talk to our friends and family. It fundamentally rewired our behavior from the ground up. Our everyday habits completely changed. Human attention literally became a currency. Think about that. Clicks and likes became our primary source of social validation. And honestly, most importantly, unseen algorithms actually started shaping human emotion. As these new digital behaviors really took hold, our human interactions slowly, almost invisibly, migrated away from the physical world and directly into those glowing screens in our hands.
Now, Zuckerberg didn't view this migration as just some temporary phase or passing trend. No, he saw it as the next step in our evolution. Why? Well, because from his perspective, physical life has rigid limitations. Out in the real world, we're strictly constrained by distance, by time, geography, and of course, our own fragile human bodies. Virtual worlds, though, they offer limitless possibilities. In a digital reality, literally anyone can become anyone, anywhere, at any given time.
Moving right along to Section 3, Redesigning Human Existence, an Alternative Reality.
When the company famously renamed itself to Meta, a lot of people just brushed it off. They thought, oh, it's just a simple corporate strategy or a clever PR move to distract from negative press. But if you look closely at the source material, it was actually a sweeping ideological declaration. That pivot to Meta was an announcement that they were going to build a completely alternative reality. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what's at stake. The Metaverse is attempting to completely redesign every core pillar of human existence. We're staring down a future of work without physical offices, friendship without any actual physical presence, entertainment totally detached from reality, and an identity completely freed from physical limitations. But man, there's a profound, almost unsettling implication here that this source material really highlights. The deeper our society wades into this immersive digital life, the harder it gets to tell the difference between genuine, messy human connection and mere simulation. I mean, you have to ask yourself, are you experiencing real life, or just an incredibly well-optimized digital mirror of it?
Okay, let's dig into Section 4, the psychology of escape, fleeing reality.
I want you to pause and consider something for a second. Why are these virtual worlds becoming so undeniably attractive to us right now? The honest truth is, in our modern era, physical reality feels increasingly exhausting. We're all facing intense economic pressure, widespread isolation, non-stop competition, and skyrocketing anxiety. Virtual environments step right in to offer this powerful psychological sanctuary from all that pressure. In a virtual world, you can effortlessly edit yourself. You take total, unyielding control over how others perceive you. You can literally escape your insecurities, escape the process of aging, escape the sting of rejection, and ultimately just completely bypass the friction of ordinary life. You know, things like parallel parking or that awkward small talk in the elevator.
And Mark Zuckerberg, he understands this better than almost anyone on the planet, because social media has already proven humanity's terrifying willingness to accept this trade. Look at this profound realization from the text. Billions of people are willing to trade reality for stimulation. Let that sink in. Billions. And we do this even when we fully know it causes us emotional damage. The metaverse might simply be the next logical stage of that evolution, a world where the simulation actually becomes far more emotionally powerful than reality itself.
Which naturally brings us to our final philosophical dilemma in Section 5, the hidden price of tech, the cost of innovation.
We really have to ask a hard question here. Is this artificial future being aggressively pushed onto us? Or does it actually reflect a world with less physical pain and awkwardness that humanity secretly deeply desires? Let's move to the historical context and see how this builds on the past. History shows us that absolutely every major technological revolution extracts a heavy and often completely unexpected toll on the human experience. Take cars, for example. They gave humans incredible speed, but the hidden price? Drastically reduced physical movement. Social media promised us global connection, right? But the hidden price there has undeniably been a massive increase in loneliness.
So the ultimate mind-bending question we're left with is this: what happens to humanity when reality itself becomes optional? When you really think about it, the strangest part of this entire evolution might not actually be Mark Zuckerberg's grand vision. No, the strangest part might just be how willingly and how eagerly a struggling humanity might embrace this artificial world. Because let's be honest, the more difficult physical reality becomes, the more tempting those perfectly designed artificial worlds start to feel.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final, deeply personal question hanging in the air. If the physical world keeps getting harder and the virtual world keeps getting more perfect, would you live permanently inside a virtual world? Take a moment today to really think about your own digital habits and where they might eventually lead you tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep seeking clarity.